Hello, beautiful people. What's up? I'm Josephina Bashout. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't seen my other two videos, go and check them out because this is a string and weaving of my story. So you want to watch the first two videos if you haven't. So today I'm going to actually talk about the impact that it had on me with moving forward with this diagnosis and working with an ND. I found out about a treatment, a topical treatment called Escharotics. And if you want more information about it, Google it. It's called Escharotics. It's a cervical treatment, a topical treatment that you can do as an alternative to having your cervix cut out and as an alternative to doing any type of cryotherapy, chemotherapy treatment. And it goes directly to the cervix through a topical treatment. And then this treatment actually clears and heals like a facial all of the cancerous cells and the mutated cells that are on the cervix. So check in with your healthcare provider. I am not a doctor. I am not pretending to be a doctor. I'm just sharing what my experience was. And Escharotics, hands down, had saved my life and was life-changing, along with all the things that I needed to do with the Escharotic treatments and this 2-year journey of self-healing. One big piece was diet. I had to cut out for a year an elimination diet of sugar, of caffeine, of red meat, and of dairy. Dairy caused inflammation of the body, so the optimal thing was to keep my immunity really, really high. So cutting out all of the things meant that I couldn't go to the delicious restaurants that I wanted to do. Happy hour was no longer on the table. And also had to cut out alcohol. So all of the things that I was doing and living my life in this lifestyle were actually just contributing and fueling the sickness and the disease that was festering into the body that was creating this mutation of cancerous cells. So once I started to implement this diet change, the swelling started coming down, my immunity started boosting, but I would still wake up every day with this heaviness, with this sadness, with this fear that was so present. And it was in my mind consistently at work. It was so consuming, completely consumed by this diagnosis, to where I would cry at work and my entire day and life experience was now taken over by this diagnosis, by the heaviness of my spirit. My joy was slowly being drained from me. And it wasn't until I started to take a yoga class, a yoga flow vinyasa, that I realized that I was disconnected from my body. So through this diagnosis, I became very aware of my relationship to food, how it was fueling and feeding into the disease and manifesting in my body. I became really aware of my toxic and overindulgent relationship that I had to alcohol, where I was drinking all the time. That was also contributing to the inflammation of my body, of my belly, but my mood swings, also the deterioration of the body on an internal level. And then I became very aware of my unhealthy and toxic relationship that I had to my own body in the form of negative self-talk, low self-esteem, and also the partner that I had, the romantic relationship and partner that I had. I had to do a complete elimination detox. So what came apparent to me was how I was allowing all of these outside factors to truly influence the way that I was feeling and connecting to myself, or therefore lack of connection to myself. So the next phase after this diagnosis for me was about eliminating the things that were no longer serving my health, my well-being, my joy, or my healing path. And then from that elimination diet, replacing and adding things in that would actually help support me mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So taking up yoga was a really uncomfortable thing for me to do 9 years ago. I had never done yoga. And that first class brought me to my knees in tears. I felt so weak, so unattuned to my body. And when I hit the ground with tears in my eyes, I knew that there was medicine here for me. I knew that there was an opportunity for me to reconnect and drop deeper into my body and to inhabit, even in all the pain and the uncomfortability of now working with this diagnosis, that was what was being presented for me that I could step into. The next thing that I was aware of was, again, the negative chatter and how I was so consumed. Now, what I was aware of was that this negative chatter was already consuming my psyche. I just was not attuned or aware of it because of the amount of alcohol that I was drinking, because of the amount of overindulgence. So I was consumed by alcohol. I was consumed by smoking weed. I was consumed by food. All of these things were numbing out this voice that was really coming from this place of lack of confidence and a disconnection to my own power, my own femininity, and my own self-esteem. And with this diagnosis, it really gave me an opportunity to slow down, to listen to all of what was actually happening inside of me in my internal environment as I was now making the adjustments to my external environment. And what was so obvious was that I had a very unhealthy internal environment with my own body, with my own thoughts, and with my own habits. So what I decided to do, what kind of landed into my lap, was I had heard about something called meditation. Now, I didn't know about meditation. I kind of heard about it. It was kind of this concept that was more esoteric and out there, and I didn't really believe that it would do anything. And then I got this book, and it landed in my lap, and it was by Deepak Chopra, and it was called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And then another book showed up, and it was called The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desires. And what I started to do was read these books about the metaphysical world, the law of attraction, but he had exercises around meditating. So in my place of continuously hitting the floor in tears, feeling so weak, feeling so terrified and afraid for my life and my future, with my fertility at risk, with my future of being a mother at risk, completely consuming my brain, no longer having food, alcohol, or sex now to consume me, because during this 2-year period, sex was also for the first year off of the table. And I don't know which one was more devastating to me, to find out that I couldn't have sex with a partner and that was no longer accessible, or the food, or the drinking. I mean, it was kind of a toss-up, to be honest, between all of them, because I was so consumed and so overindulgent in all of these arenas and all of these areas that just made me feel so good. But yet on the inside, I wasn't feeling really good. And so when I had to eliminate all of these things from my life, and I was just left with my own internal environment, it was very hard to just be with me, to be with the thoughts, to be with the fear of possibility of what this doesn't work. Am I making the right decision to go an alternative way? Can I trust this doctor? Do I trust myself? Can I trust this process? What if this doesn't work? What if I can't have children? What if I have to lose my cervix? What about my womanhood? What about my sexuality? What about the shame of my past, of carrying this, of how could this occur to me and how could this happen? So all of this self-shaming was going on inside of my own internal environment. And the way that I found to start to cope with that was through meditation. Meditation became my medication. And I started to begin to attune myself to my external environment through sounds of nature, through the sights of nature, and through going inward, going within, starting to work with forgiveness. And the combination of meditation with my diet change through elimination diet and incorporating yoga, I started to realize that I had a really big evolutionary opportunity here through this diagnosis. And I could choose to fully commit to this immersion of a new environment internally, as well as this elimination lifestyle externally, and fully go all in to see if this will serve me, or I could tiptoe around it. And for me, it became really a decision of my future And the way that I had reframed it in order to step forward was life and death. There was no other option. There was no other option if I was going to really secure my future but to make this lifestyle change. Now, it doesn't always have to come to such a dire point or a hit the knees moment, but oftentimes it does. And in these pivotal times and moments in our lives is when we can choose to step up and rise and empower ourselves and really attune to our inner environment and cultivate this garden of our thoughts with positivity, with tools that are going to help us and empower us, with rituals that are going to support us in our evolution. Or we can choose to slide back into the comfort zone and to believe our own victim story. So I'll get more into that into my next video tomorrow, but I wanted to share with you that that was the next steps that I took when I received this diagnosis that began to fuel me. So the next video, I'm going to talk about how this really impacted my sexuality and the opportunity that it gave me to reconnect to sacred sexuality and to incorporate that into my daily rituals and practice. So I hope you stay tuned. And if this video inspires you, please share it. You can subscribe, you can share it with other people. You can see it on my website at josephinabashout.com. And thank you so much for watching. And take any of the notes that I've just said to heart. See how this could be applied to your everyday, whether or not you're dealing with any type of gynecological cancer issues or feminine issues. These are things that can be across the board if you're wanting to just feel better, to boost your immunity, to have a healthier lifestyle shift and change in your life experience. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao.